Well, hey there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Been a crazy busy last couple of days with, work and, taking the kid to gymnastics and all that stuff. First chance I've had a chance to get on here in a couple of days. And I wanted to, it's a topic that seems to come up a lot, at least once every season, it seems like. And it's something I wanted to talk about a little bit. So, but before we get into that, if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you love hockey content, if you love talking hockey jerseys, talking about and listening to topics such as the one that I'm going to be discussing here, just general hockey content, basically. If you like that kind of stuff, it would mean a great deal. It'd be greatly appreciated if you were to hit that subscribe button down there. And yeah, I would greatly appreciate it, and I could not thank you guys enough for doing that. Now, what I wanted to talk a little bit about. Now, this has come around again. Like I said, it seems to come around once a year at least, once a season at least. And it is the playoff format. People are saying, they should go back to the 1 versus 8 setup, and this, that, and the other, as compared to what it is now, with the wild card setup. But if you really think about it, even in this format that you have, you're getting a 1 versus 8 kind of setup. It is basically the number one seed, the number one seed plays the second wild card. That's the number 8 seed, basically. The number 2 seed, the second division winner, plays the first wild card. That's the number 7 seed. The only ones that you don't really get are the 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. But you're basically getting the 1-8 setup, it just in a little bit of a different form. And everybody talks about the whole idea of, if it's the 1-8 setup, you'll get different matchups than you will in the current format, or you won't have the really good teams get knocked out in the first round. Well, as I'm recording this is after the games of. Let's see. This is early morning on February 9th. So this is after the February 8th games, which there was only a couple of games, and a couple of teams kind of switched spots. From when I was initially going to do this, I figured, okay, I'll wait until these games are done. So this is as of after the games on February 8th, that these are the playoff matchups. Now, they say, you're going to get different matchups. Are you really, though? Let me go and show this here. Move this in a little bit. Now, we have the current playoff format right here. And, this is the divisional setup here. Now, as of the games today, because Minnesota lost to Dallas and the Rangers won, so they kind of did some. I know Minnesota did a flip flop with Colorado. The Rangers didn't really move, but the whole thing of, people saying, well, you're going to get different matchups. Well, as of right here, in the Central Division, the division leaders right here are the Dallas Stars. They are in the first round. Move that a little, there we go. In the first round, they will play the Minnesota Wild. That's in round 1. That is in the divisional semifinals. The 2 versus 3 matchup in the Central is the Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. Now, if we look over here, you look at these matchups. Now because there are a couple of different ones. There's I think a couple different. I think there's 2. I think out of all of the series, there's 2 of them that are different. But in the Central Division, you've got Dallas versus Minnesota, Winnipeg versus Colorado. The Pacific Division, you have Vegas versus Edmonton. That's Vegas, the number 1 seed currently in the Pacific Division, against the first wild card Edmonton Oilers. The 2 versus 3 matchup in the Pacific is the Seattle Kraken and the LA Kings. Pretty good matchups. We move over to the Eastern Conference. In the Atlantic Division, you've got the Boston Bruins playing the number 2 wildcard Pittsburgh Penguins. The 2 versus 3 matchup in the Atlantic is the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Metro, you've got the Carolina Hurricanes playing the Washington Capitals. And the 2-3 matchup in the Metro is the New Jersey Devils and the New York Rangers. Now, let's go over here to the 1 versus 8 matchup. The 1 versus 8 matchup in the Western Conference, you have Dallas versus Minnesota. It's the same matchup here. One difference. The differences in the matchups are both in the West. Over here, you have, in the 2-7 matchup, you have Vegas versus Colorado. Where over here, Vegas would play Edmonton, because that's a divisional matchup. So that's a different matchup. Then the 3-6 matchup, you have the Winnipeg Jets facing the Edmonton Oilers. Again, that's a cross-divisional matchup. So that is different from the divisional setup. The 4 versus 5 matchup, though, is exactly the same as in the Pacific 2-3 matchup. It is Seattle versus Los Angeles. So, there's a couple different, there's 2 matchups that are different. Now we go to the East. The 1 versus 8 matchup in the East is the Boston Bruins against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's exactly the same here. Same matchup. The number 2 seed versus number 7 in the 1-8 matchup in the East would be the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals. Same matchup as here. The 3-6 matchup, the New Jersey Devils against the New York Rangers. Same matchup here. And the 4 versus 5, the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Same as this one. So, you're not going to get any different matchups. I mean, you get, of the 8 matchups, you get 2 of them that are different. That's it. The other 6 are all the same matchups. So when people go and say, you'll get all these different matchups, if they go to the 1-8 format. No, you won't. You won't. As of right now, February 8th, only 2 of the 8 series would be different if it were the 1-8 setup instead of the current format. Now, this will be fun to look at again come season's end when we see the playoffs. When we see what the playoff brackets will be, I will probably come back to this and do this again. And we can see exactly, who made the playoffs and who's playing who. That'll be fun to do at the end of the year. But the idea of you're going to get all these different matchups if you go to the 1-8 format, no, you won't. You won't really. You'll get 2 That'll be different. Only 2 of the 8. The other 6 are exactly the same in the 1/8 setup as it would be here. Same matchups. The only differences would be, instead of Vegas playing Edmonton in the first round in the divisional playoffs, in the 1/8 setup, Vegas would play Colorado. And instead of Winnipeg playing Colorado in the first round, Winnipeg would play Edmonton. Where Edmonton here would, over in the divisional matchup, would play Vegas. Those are the only differences. The rest of them are all the same. The Stars play the Wild, the Kraken play the Kings, the Bruins play the Penguins, the Hurricanes play the Capitals, the Devils play the Rangers, the Maple Leafs play the Lightning. It's exactly the same. Same matchups, all of these, same matchups here in the 1/8 setup as they are right here. There's no difference. So when people go and say, oh, well, there's gonna be so many different matchups, you're not gonna see that. And yes, you do have the opportunity where you're gonna have some good teams probably get knocked out in the first round. This is another thing that I always hear about the whole 1/8 format. Well, you're not going to see as many upsets in the 1/8 format as you would. You're not going to see, a team like, a team like Tampa, in 2019. If that would have been the 1/8 format, they wouldn't have lost. They wouldn't have lost in the first round. They got swept by Columbus, which, by the way, if you do look at that, the current playoff format, the 2 wildcard rounds are 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. If you go and you look at the divisions and you count them up, look at the points, look at that and count them up. Who's number 1? You know who number 1 is. Look down, find out who number 8 is, find out who number 7 is. It's the same matchup. So, people say, well, Tampa wouldn't have lost to Columbus if it would have been 1/8. Yeah, they would have. Yeah, they would have. So it wouldn't have mattered. The only difference is between the divisional matchups and the 1/8 format is you don't get the 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. Even though you look at this and you kind of do. The only for sure matchups you get are the 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, which are the first place team in the conference playing the second wild card, and the second place team in the conference playing the number 1 wild card. So, I mean, that's really that's the guaranteed matchups. The other ones could be totally different, and as we've seen here, you've got 8 series. Only 2 of them are different. So the whole idea of, they need to go back to the 1 versus 8 format. What's that going to change? To me, that's not going to change anything. It doesn't really seem like it changes a whole lot. These are the same matchups. So, you're going to get some good teams that are going to get bounced in the first round. It always happens. And especially when they go and say, a top team, a number 1 seed isn't going to get bounced by a number 8 seed. This isn't the NBA. The NBA, that's guaranteed to happen. You never see a number 8 seed beat a number 1 in the NBA. I think the only one really that I can remember, and this was back when I was in high school, when the Denver Nuggets beat the Seattle Supersonics. The Supersonics had the best. I think they had the best record in the NBA that year, and they lost in the first round. That's the only one I can really remember. But you see number 8 seeds and number 7 seeds win all the time in the NHL. I mean, I look back. I'm old enough to remember the 2003. They talked about how this ended up being a boring series, but this was the 1/8 format. it ended up where the Minnesota Wild played the Anaheim Ducks, or the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, and I believe the Wild were the 7 seed, and the Ducks were the 8 seed. That was your conference final. The 2 lowest seeds you could get. They played each other in the conference final. Anaheim ended up going, and they almost pulled that out. I mean, they gave it their all against New Jersey that year. And of course, the one that I remember very fondly was 2012, the number 8 seeded LA Kings. They rolled through the Western Conference, beating the number 1 seeded Vancouver Canucks, the number 2 seeded St. Louis Blues, and the number 3 seeded Arizona Coyotes. Yes, Arizona was the number 3 seed. They won that division that year. Was that a 6th division? Well, no, I don't think that was the 6th. No, I don't think that was the 6th division. The sixth division thing I don't think that was that. But they rolled through, and they beat the top 3 seeds in the conference that year as a number 8 seed. Who did they play in the finals? The New Jersey Devils. What seed were they? A 6. They were a 6 seed. So the whole idea of, you have to have the 1-8 matchup because you're not going to get these really good teams with these gaudy records and a ton of points. You're not going to see them lose in the first round. How do you know? How do you know? I just cited a couple of examples of, teams that weren't the greatest, that didn't have the best point total. Some of them who just barely got in the playoffs, and they got hot. They made a run, and, and in LA's case, as a number 8 seed, they won the Stanley Cup in 2012. They got hot. They only lost 4 games that entire playoff. It was insane, and they were a number 8 seed. So it's just the idea that the matchups will be different. All the matchups will be different, and you're not going to get these really good teams that are going to get bounced in the first round by these inferior teams. No, it's not. That's not how that. No, it doesn't work that way. You're always going to have a really good team run into a team that, maybe is 25 points less than they are, and they play each other in the first round. Everybody's thinking, "Oh, they're gonna steamroll." That number 1 seed, they're gonna steamroll the number 8 seed. Next thing you know, the number 1 seed's out. I mean, so it's just the idea that there's really going to be that much of a change in the formats if you go to the 1-8 matchup compared to now. There's really not. There's 2 matchups that are different. The other 6 are the same. So, to me, the current format, is just fine. I don't mind it. Some people do, but, as of February 8th, these are the matchups. These are the matchups in the 1-8 format. Only 2 of them are different from the current format, and that's in the Western Conference. It's Vegas playing Colorado instead of Vegas playing Edmonton, and Winnipeg playing Edmonton instead of Winnipeg playing Colorado. Those are the only differences. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this, I like discussing stuff like this because this is one of those hot topic kind of issues that can get people can get people going. And like I said, to me, I don't mind the 1-8 matchup. I didn't mind the 1-8 matchup when it was that. I don't mind it the way it is now, though, either. I like the whole divisional aspect. And when they did the 1-8 format, you didn't know who you were playing. The teams didn't know who you were playing. You know, in the divisional setup, you know who you're going to play. You know you're going to play whichever team, like Boston against Pittsburgh. Boston knows they will play either Toronto or Tampa. Over here, Boston doesn't know who they could play in the second round. Boston could play Washington. They could play the Rangers. They could play the Lightning. They could play the Maple Leafs. You don't know until all those games are done. And then when that series starts, in another, you get the off day and then that series starts, the advertisers don't know, they don't know the matchups. They like being able to know the matchups in the divisional setup. So, I mean, like I said, I don't mind the divisional setup. I didn't mind the 1-8 setup, but just the whole idea and the whole thought of, well, all of these, you're going to get all these different matchups if you go to the 1-8 format, as it's shown right here. And this all comes from the standings, the current standings on February 8th, from the games up to February 8th. These are the matchups. These are the standings. These are the matchups of who would play who. Look in the standings and count them up, and you'd see it too. So, let me know what you guys think. Some people are definitely a proponent of the 1 versus 8 format. I don't mind the current system. I mean, if they go back to 1 versus 8, okay, but just the whole idea of, you're not going to get these really good teams losing in the first round, or you're going to get all these different matchups if you change the playoff format. You're not. We see, right here. We see it all right here. These matchups, 6 of them, 6 of the 8 matchups are still the same, no matter what format it is. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Hopefully this, sparks a nice little, back and forth kind of. This is the kind of stuff it's fun to look at, and it's a neat topic, and we do seem like we have to go through this whole playoff format thing every year, at least once a year, and so let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Of course, I'll put the link to the Discord in the description, and let me know what you guys think. Do you guys prefer the current divisional setup? Do you want the 1 versus 8 format? Love to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comment section. Hit like and subscribe if you have not done so already. And yeah. So here's the matchups. According to the standings as of February 8th. Let me know what you guys think. Again, hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. And I'll see you guys later.